Yeah.
And I typically, one of my processes, because I'm not necessarily gentlest soul on the earth.
Well, you are about action.
I am about action.
You're about, and
very
in
much
action,
so.
you have to make it happen. Right.
So I tend to do something that makes them jerk a little bit, so that they go into a defense posture against my questions,
Right.
so they can't sugarcoat.
Right. It's like if someone's whining, you just slap them. Get out of it. I mean,
That's right.
not physically, but it's like,
how is the
shake 'em
whining
out of
helping
it.
you?
Right. Exactly.
How is this helping you? So we get to the mentalities, and I keep at them until they start laughing.
Oh.
Once they've started laughing, they're beginning to at themselves and their silliness.
They see how ridiculous it is.
That's right.
They would think
then
that way.
that tells me they're ready to consider another approach.
Lovely. Oh, it's
And
the
it
laugh
is.
factor.
Oh, it's the laugh factor. And sometimes we'll move through tears before we get to laughter.
Sure, because it's painful to confront your own limitations.
Exactly.
Yeah, it hurts.
Exactly. Well, and sometimes we go into tears because, am I really worth that? And that will bring tears.
Yes.
They may be tears of joy.
Yes.
They're still tears. Once I move through to, now how does that sound to you now? Oh, it sounds silly. Does it? Well, tell me how silly it sounds. And really get them into feeling, because what they're doing, people have asked me, tangent for a minute, people have asked me, well, how is this different from the power of positive thinking?
Right.
Power of positive thinking may get you to the very same place. It'll take longer.
Way longer.
Because to shift a belief, you need to get into the feeling of the belief. You need to get where it lives.
Well, the other thing I want to say, and this is really about your persona and why, I can see that you'd be very good at this, because this takes a lot of courage to do this work.
Yes.
And you are very courageous.
Thank you.
And you've made some courageous moves in your life, so therefore, somebody can't say to you, well, you don't know how scary it is, because you can say, yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
I've done it.
Left at the top of my game.
And that gives you a credibility that you're not just some fly-by-night.
That's right.
This is a real thing that you've experienced yourself.
Oh, yes.
And I respect that a lot.
Thank you.
If you haven't walked through the fire, how would you know about the burnt feet?
You don't. And you don't know when the trigger point is
Right.
that says, okay, now I'm ready to move on.
Okay, so let's go back to the group. So you're going to present this, first the belief system, and then you said there was another topic as well.
The one topic is walking people through the belief. And typically I start with, in a group setting, having people think about or get a pen and paper out and write down something they'd like to change in their life.
Okay, and everybody has
Everybody
that.
has something.
Of course.
And then we go to, okay, that's the outcome. And then we move back to the mentalities. And then we move back to the positions, and that's the physical posture we hold as we talk about the mentalities. And then we move back to the belief.
I love this. I love this so
It's
much
just
because the priestess entrepreneur, the main tenet of the priestess entrepreneur is you have to know yourself.
Yes.
You have to know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, what stance can you possibly take? So this is really, I mean, you are doing just the best priestess work in the world. I mean, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Because every time you bring people closer to who they are, you empower them.
And that's whether it's through the belief process, through the wisdom connection. The other, and this came out of my first book.
Okay, let's talk about your book.
Oh,
and
excellent.
Of course, we're going to, when you speak, it's good to have a book.
Yes.
And isn't this gorgeous? So radiant. I love it. And it's called The Light One.
Yes, it is.
One like in a battle.
Yes.
One. Yes.
The light won over the darkness centuries ago.
Yes.
We didn't get the message.
We didn't get the message.
We did not get the message.
So your book is a little bit how that has happened.
How that's happened, and how we might step forward and become the creators we are of our life.
Aware.
Conscious
creators.
And not just accept what's been laid forth as a possibility.
Right.
As, quite frankly, a pretty narrow possibility, especially in these years.
Yes.
When it says the light won, and I co-created this with the angelic realm, which is another huge shift.
So meaning it was channeled to you in a way.
Yes.
It came through you.
It came through me.
Yes.
I call it co-created or co-authored it.
I love it.
Because I didn't move out of the way, because I tend to even argue with angels.
Which you would.
Which I would.
Which I love about
it's
you.
Who I am.
And yes. Because that helps you clarify
It does.
for yourself.
And I'm the one in the physical, sharing it with others in the physical.
Yeah.
So it recommends we leave the game of duality. Right, wrong, yes, no, black, white. And
That's a big leap.
you'll love this. Move into the dance of relationship.
Oh, yes.
And in the dance of relationship, everything's about perspective and preference and what they call position on the bowl of unity.
Position
Position
on the bowl
isn't
of
that
unity.
Isn't that, talk about yummy. That defines yummy.
Yes, it really does, because it really gets you outside the limited parameters of yes, no, right, wrong.
Absolutely. So it says if you and I are sitting at this table and we're sitting at different positions, and that gives us different perspectives of the kitchen,
But we're both right.
but we're both perfect.
Perfect. It's
Not,
both.
again,
It's not even right.
It's not even right. It's perfect.
It just is.
And isn't
Right.
and it was interesting as I was bringing the information in and writing, I was still talking about right and wrong, and I had to go back and catch myself.
Right.
It is so ingrained.
Of course, it's so ingrained. We're taught from that. That's part of our culture.
Absolutely.
Knowing right from wrong.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Did it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the second thing I talk about is putting relationship back into relationships.
Nice.
Because part of our challenge, as I perceive it, in our relationship, whether it's friendships, intimate relationships, whatever, is we still play it from the game of duality.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's moving into relationship.
I love that.
And some of it's relationship with ourselves.
Well, that's where it starts.
That's always.
And every priestess has a good healthy priestess has excellent relationship with herself first.
Yes.
Then she can have good relationships with her staff, her lovers, her
Absolutely.
children, her parents,
Her
everyone
neighbors,
else,
her friends,
everything.
everyone.
Everything begins with this relationship.
And it is amazing when I present this, and primarily it's been happened to be women's group that I've spoken with. How many women? Well, but then I'd have to be vulnerable. Yes.
And that's a tough one.
That's a tough one. That's a
because
tough
I
one.
could get hurt.
And that's our belief.
Bad things could happen, right? As opposed to, as we know, when we're really vulnerable, that's when we're most safe.
That's when we're most safe. That's when
Yes.
we're most dynamic, and that's when we're most magical.
Yes, I agree.
And
Because
it's-
otherwise we get rigid like this, and we're in a box, and there's no movement in a
There's
box.
no movement.
No, there's no flow.
So those are two of the things. I have some workshops I'm going to be offering
Right.
in April. No, in May. In May.
In the Denver area?
In the Denver area. One in Inglewood at my office in Inglewood. 4 different evenings, and then ongoing monthly meetings
Very good. In person.
in person.
Yeah.
You know, let's walk people through the belief shift process. Okay, and a lot can be accomplished in those 4 evenings. Now let's talk about how it's going. It is in the belief shift process, it says, it's as if you have a planter of flowers.
Yes.
And one of them is a thistle or a thorn. Don't jerk it up. Another thistle or thorn will simply replace it.
Right.
You haven't. It's about gently moving the dirt aside and honoring, because that belief at one point,
It served you.
it served us.
Absolutely.
It's simply we've outgrown it.
Right.
It's morphed differently than is optimum.
Yes.
And then gently and lovingly release it from the soil and replace it immediately with a new belief.
Yes. Because I've noticed, of course, in my own life and talking with so many people, we do get stuck in our childhood patterns, which many of us needed those behaviors
Absolutely.
to cope and deal with, some of us in survival issues or emotional survival issues, and we don't ever realize that we're still carrying those beliefs. It's kind of like still carrying an umbrella even though the sun's out,
Exactly.
because we're so used to carrying an umbrella.
Because the beliefs are insidious. They're unconscious.
They're unconscious. So you're
They're simply
bringing them-
running our lives.
You're bringing them to the surface and
Yes.
saying, is this right for you, or does this really work for you anymore, or maybe it's time to let this one go?
And beautifully said, Cindy, because the answer may be yes, I want to keep it.
And it could be.
And that's perfect.
Yeah.